So geothermal has a huge opportunity to play in the energy transition as a whole, because energy is just not electricity only. We do have a role to play in electricity, especially in those countries where we have anchored ourselves to provide base load power to those countries, to the grids, to the communities that need access to electricity. But what we really play a true global game in is the heating and cooling transition. Because if you look at where our energy consumption sits, it sits in heating and cooling, to warm up our houses in the winter times and to cool it down in those summer times when you really don't want to be overheated. And why would you burn fossil fuels to feel comfy at home whilst you have that heat beneath your feet? The focus has always been on electricity. That's where the focus has also been in the energy transition. But I think the real true anchor point, not just in Europe, but also worldwide, is to allow geothermal to provide solutions for clean heat. So typically investors want a couple of things, and they want to have, of course, an initial return on investment. So our cash flow modeling, our assumptions around our business case, but also the, let's say, the customer who pays at the end for the services that we want to provide to them needs to be in place. Basically, the demand needs to be matched with our supply. That's one thing. Second, before you get any type of investor, whether they come from public or from the private sector, they want to understand the right policies in place, the right regulations in place. They want to understand the rules of the game specifically. Because geothermal, more so perhaps than any other type of renewable, is very local. It's dependent on what type of heat, what type of access do we have beneath our feet in that specific place. Meaning that local jurisdictions, local ownership, participation of the public, and hence the perception of what geothermal can do for your community, your livelihood, you as a citizen when we're talking about cities, is crucial. So any investor will shy away when there is strong opposition, when there is no right policies in place, or when there is a failing regulatory regime for your specific project. So in order for geothermal to be accelerated, because let's be honest, we're a little bit too small these days, in order to be accelerated, we need to have the right incentives for geothermal, and that includes the right financial mechanisms, includes the policy, includes the regulatory framework. And in certain countries, it just means to go back to the book of law and legislate it. Because in some countries we are excluded still in the roadmap for a net zero future. And if you're excluded in that roadmap, there will be no investor who just pops in and says, oh yeah, let's put here my money. The key benefits of geothermal, and really if you look at it, what geothermal offers to us as human beings, it offers a service around electricity, obviously, and that's in comparison to the other renewable technologies such as solar and wind, quite normal, quite typical, because we want to gain electricity from our resource. But resource is the word for geothermal to be used, because on top of and beyond the electricity, we provide direct usage of that heat for heating and cooling. And that goes to say for the other technologies, because the other technologies, solar, wind, to take those as direct competitors here, they just provide one thing. They provide electricity. We provide electricity, on top we provide heating and cooling, and as a resource, being, let's say, sourced from Earth itself, we also have the opportunity to extract critical minerals from it. So instead of using critical minerals to build our assets, we're actually providing critical minerals. So if you look at these three services that we deliver to the energy transition, that is something that stands out specifically. But I would also like to say that geothermal, and it has been testified over and over again, we're the only true renewable baseload service. Baseload, 95% of the time we're on, 24/7, day or night, in the Arctic cold, in the tropical storms, we're on. Meaning that if you really want to shy away from fossil fuels, who have been providing us human beings with baseload energy, you have to come to geothermal.